Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We are on ayah number 154 of Surah Al-Baqarah. قال الله تعالى: ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. So this ayah speaks about the martyrs or the shuhada who die fighting in the way of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And the shaheed is defined as the one who fights in the way of Allah, that is, to raise the word of Allah above kufr and above misguidance, and he dies in the battlefield from a wound sustained by the enemy, so that is not from friendly fire. This ayah was revealed about those who died in the battle of Badr. There were 14 from the Muslimin who died in the battle of Badr. There were 6 of them from the Muhajirin. Their names are mentioned as well. Number 1, Ubaidah ibn al-Harith. Number 2, Umayr ibn Abi Waqqas. 3, Amr ibn Nadla. Number 4, Aqil ibn al-Bukair. Number 5, Mihja, who was a freed servant of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And number 6, Safwan ibn Bayda. And the other 8 were from the Ansar. Number 1, Sa'ad ibn Khaythama. Number 2, Mubashir ibn Abd al-Mundhir. Number 3, Yazid ibn al-Harith. Number 4, Umayr ibn al-Humam. Number 5, Rafi' ibn al-Mu'alla. Number 6, Haritha ibn Suraqa. Number 7, Auf ibn al-Harith. And number 8, Muawwidh ibn al-Harith. These last 2 were brothers. Actually, their mother, by the name of Afra, also died in the battle of Badr. She was not fighting, but she was from those who died because of the battle. So she would not be a shaheed in that sense, but nevertheless she is also one of the casualties. And it's important for us to mention these names, because have you heard of any of these names which we have mentioned? Not likely. These names are not prominently mentioned in hadith literature because they died in the battle of Badr. This was early on during the Medina period, 2nd year of the Hijri calendar. So you do not normally hear about these names. They're not from the eminent companions, but it is vital for us to make mention of these names lest we forget those who gave up their life so that we today, in the 21st century or the 15th century, whichever calendar you're using, so that we can be guided with the lifestyle of Islam today. The Battle of Badr was the most crucial battle out of all of them. Otherwise, there have been many battles. But the Battle of Badr was the most crucial because if the Muslims were wiped out, then Islam would be wiped out. As the Prophet said, if this group or this army loses today, you, O Allah, will not be worshipped on earth. Today, if a Muslim army loses a battle, would Islam be wiped off the face of the earth? Of course not. There are more than 1.5 billion Muslims. How can you possibly wipe Islam off the face of the earth? But back then, the army was about 313. This is easy to wipe off. So these people who died in the Battle of Badr are extra special, and their names must never be forgotten. Now, people used to say that Fulan has died and he will not be able to enjoy this dunya because his chance has passed, and they would say things like this, and so this ayah came down telling people not to utter such words. He says, وَلَا تَشْعُرُونَ شَعَرَ يَشْعُرُ, to perceive or to feel. In this context we can say, but you do not perceive it. Now at this stage it can be argued that it is appropriate to quote many ahadith pertaining to the virtues of the shuhada, but really this will lengthen our presentation and we are trying to keep it streamlined, so we would refer the listener to books like Sahih Muslim, which have a compilation of ahadith speaking about the shuhada, and they are the most amazing ahadith of them all. Also, when he says liman, it really is to be understood as fiman, so do not say about the one who has been killed in the way of Allah. Okay, what might we pick up from this ayah? We pick up the importance of al-ikhlas when fighting in the way of Allah, so that you're not fighting for any dunyawi gains or recognition and praise, but rather you're fighting to make the word of Allah the supreme. We also find that such people who are killed and fit the definition of a shaheed, then they are not dead in the absolute sense. Yes, true, they are biologically dead and they are no longer with us in this dunya, that is true, but they are alive in the barzakh period with their Rabb, their souls in green birds flying in Jannah wherever they will. And we find that from the narrations. We find that if somebody dies in a righteous way, it should not be thought that the pleasures of this world have passed him by and he has missed out. Absolutely not. He's not missed out on anything when he is being provided by his own Rabb. And that provision is far superior than the provision of this world. We can also take from this ayah that there is a barzakh period. Barzakh meaning a barrier period. So it's the barrier between this life and the akhirah. So an intermediate period. Ayah 155. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. So he says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, from bala, yablu, to test or to try. There's a nun shadda to emphasize the matter. We will surely try you. We see the lam there, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّ. This is the lam al-qasam, as if he's saying, Wallahi, we will try you. So he will try you with khawf, fear, ju' meaning hunger, naqs min al-amwal, shortage of wealth, wal anfus, shortage of life, as in people around you, your nearest and dearest, dying, wa thamarat, the shortage of fruits. Wa bashir is a fi'al amr, meaning give glad tidings to the sabirin. We have spoken about sabr before. Notice also when he says bi shay'in, with something of, so it gives the idea that it's not much. So what you're tried with is not much compared to what you could have been tried with. So if you have a calamity that befalls you, you need to understand that so much worse could have happened. Ayah 156 following on. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. الَّذِينَ, those who. So it's speaking about what has just preceded, meaning the patient people. Musibah meaning calamity. And when he says we belong to Allah, this is because Allah is our Rabb. He is our creator. We are his creation. And Allah can do with his creation as he wills. So the mu'min and the one who's patient recognizes this matter. He does not see this as some kind of oppression. Oppression is when you transgress somebody else's property. And returning to Allah means returning to him for judgment. And ayah 157, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. So he says, أُولَٰئِكَ, those are the ones, as in they are far away. So they have a high status, like looking at a distant star. Salawat, plural of salah. So when Allah gives you salah, it means he praises you amongst the angels. Rahmah, we have defined this word before, but it can be understood as meaning when you attain what you desire and are saved from that which you dislike. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. That's clear. Okay, so from these three ayat, what might we pick up? We pick up the immediate lesson that there is no getting away from it. We will be tested with all sorts of things, as the ayah mentions. So get ready for this test. And the solution to this is patience and seeking reward from Allah Jalla wa Ala. And calamities is when the difference between a Muslim and a kafir becomes pronounced. Do you not see the kuffar, when calamities befall them, they hit the alcohol bottle to drown away their sorrows? Now compare that to what this ayah is saying, and you see how the guidance stands clear and plain from misguidance. Walillahi alhamd. So sabr is wajib for sure. What is haram is sakhat, which is the opposite of sabr, which is when you say or do something which shows that you are frustrated and angry with the qadr of Allah Jalla wa Ala. In the Jahiliyyah, this would be common, with wailing over the dead and slapping your cheeks and tearing off clothing, and really it's anything to that effect. So sakhat is haram, it's a major sin. We also learn the immense practical lesson of what to say when we are afflicted with calamities of any type. Actually, in the authentic narration, we have a more complete form. When Abu Salama died, his wife Salama had to bear this with patience, and the Prophet told her what to say. He told her that anyone who is afflicted with a calamity, and then he utters these words, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa akhluf li khayran minha. Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to Him we will return. O Allah, reward me in my trial, and replace for me something better, meaning something better than what I have lost. And it so happened that Salama married the Prophet ﷺ, who is of course better than Abu Salama. And previously, Salama was thinking, but who could be better than Abu Salama? He was the best of husbands. We also learn that those who are patient, then any calamity does not go to waste. Such people are rewarded with their Rabb, and Allah speaks highly of them and grants them rahmah, and they are the guided ones. So you see, in this ayah we learn the vital lesson that in the Islamic framework we have no such thing as the philosophical problem of evil. The philosophical problem of evil says that how can a good God make good people suffer gratuitously? However, if we look at the Islamic framework, then we find that Allah Jalla wa Ala has created humans with their life and death to test which one of them is best in their deeds. Therefore, it only makes sense that good people should undergo suffering and trials, as this forms part of their test to sort out the worthy from the unworthy. If everyone were living a completely 100% happy life, then there would be no test. And testing people is the purpose for creating human beings. Now, the purpose is completely different in Jannah. Jannah is not a life made to test people. It is a life made for bliss and happiness and pleasure. So the two purposes are completely different. Now you must know this argument, because this argument of the philosophical problem of evil is one of the most popular arguments to argue against the monotheistic God. It is popular amongst atheists, and this ayah, along with a few other ahadith, form a sufficient refutation against this argument. Wallahu a'lam.